Let us consider the result. N is equal to summation over all divisors d of n phi of d, where phi is the Euler phi function. To prove this result, we first consider the RHS of this result. And we assume that this is a function of n. So we let f of n is equal to the RHS of our result, and then we can see that f of n is in fact the sum of phi of d taken over all divisors d of n. This means that we will be including the divisors 1 and n, the trivial divisors of n as well. So in this sum we will be adding phi of 1 and phi of n as well. Now we have to show that f of n, that is the RHS of this equation, is equal to n. To prove this, we first show that f of n is multiplicative. That is, we need to show that f of mn is equal to f of m into f of n whenever GCD of m and n is equal to 1. That is, whenever m and n are relatively prime, we need to show that f of mn is equal to f of m into f of n. To prove the claim, we note that any divisor d of mn can be expressed as d1 into d2, where d1 is the GCD of d and m and d2 is the GCD of d and n. Then d1 being the common divisor of d and m will divide m. Similarly, d2 will divide n. And since the GCD of m and n is equal to 1, d1 and d2 will also be relatively prime. That is, GCD of d1 and d2 will be equal to 1. Thus, we have seen that any divisor of mn can be expressed as d1 into d2, where GCD of d1 and d2 is equal to 1. Now, because of the multiplicativity of phi function, we can express phi of d, that is phi of d1 into d2, as phi of d1 into phi of d2. Now, f of mn will be equal to summation over all divisors d of mn phi of d. Here we can replace this phi of d by phi of d1 into phi of d2, and can express our sum as summation over all divisors d1 of m into summation over all divisors d2 of n phi of d1 phi of d2, which can be expressed as summation over all d1, which divides m phi of d1 into summation over all divisors d2 of n phi of d2, and we can see that this function is in fact f of m, and this value is nothing but f of n. So this is equal to f of m into f of n using the definition of f itself. So we can see that f of mn is equal to f of m into f of n as required whenever GCD of m and n is equal to 1. So as we claimed earlier, the function f is in fact multiplicative. Thus, the proof of our claim is complete. Now, to prove our proposition, we consider a few cases. Let us consider the case when n is a prime power of the form p raised to alpha, where p is a prime. Then, in this case, we need to show that f of p raised to alpha is equal to p raised to alpha. To prove this, we consider d a divisor of p raised to alpha, and since p is a prime, we can see that no prime other than p will divide d. So, d will be of the form p raised to beta, where beta lies in between 0 and alpha. So, f of p raised to alpha will be equal to summation over all divisors d of p raised to alpha phi of d, and we can replace d with p raised to beta, and beta runs through 0 to alpha. So we can express f of p raised to alpha as summation over beta, where beta varies from 0 to alpha, phi of p raised to beta. Here we can separate the term corresponding to beta equal to 0. Beta equal to 0 corresponds to the term phi of p raised to 0, that is phi of 1, which is 1 itself. So 1 plus summation over beta varying from 1 to alpha, phi of p raised to beta. Now we know that phi of p raised to beta is equal to p raised to beta minus p raised to beta minus 1, using the results of Euler phi function. Now we can expand this sum as follows. Here this term corresponds to beta equal to 1. P square minus p raised to 1 corresponds to beta equal to 2. P cube minus p square is the term corresponding to beta equal to 3, and so on. Now we can see that p raised to 1 minus p raised to 1 is here, so they get cancelled. Similarly, p square minus p square will be cancelled. P cube will correspond to a minus p cube in the next term, so those two will get cancelled, and so on. And similarly, this minus p raised to alpha minus 1 will be cancelled with a plus p raised to alpha 1 in the term preceding this one. So after all these cancellations, the terms remaining will be 1, this minus p raised to 0, and this plus p raised to alpha. So f of p raised to alpha can be expressed as 1 minus p raised to 0 is 1, 1 minus 1 plus p raised to alpha, which is equal to p raised to alpha itself as required. So in case 1 we have shown that f of p raised to alpha is equal to p raised to alpha as required. Now let us consider the general case when n is equal to p1 raised to alpha 1, p2 raised to alpha 2, etc., pr raised to alpha r, which is the prime factorization of n. This means that p1, p2, etc., pr are all distinct primes. Then by the multiplicative nature of f, we can see that f of n can be expressed as f of p1 raised to alpha 1 into f of p2 raised to alpha 2 into etc., f of pr raised to alpha r. Here p1 raised to alpha 1, p2 raised to alpha 2, pr raised to alpha are all relatively prime to each other. That is why we were able to apply the multiplicative nature of f here, and using case 1, we can see that f of p1 raised to alpha 1 is p1 raised to alpha 1 itself. Similarly, f of p2 raised to alpha 2 is p2 raised to alpha 2, and so on. F of pr raised to alpha r will be equal to pr raised to alpha r itself. So we get f of n is equal to p1 raised to alpha 1 into p2 raised to alpha 2 into etc., pr raised to alpha r. This is nothing but our n itself. So we have shown that f of n is equal to n. Thus, in general, f of n is equal to n, or we can say that summation over all divisors d of n, phi of d is equal to n as required. This completes the proof of our result. This is the proof given in our prescribed textbook. Please go through it. Thank you.